Hello, Brent.
Hello, great to be here.
Good, good. I want to first and foremost welcome you to Kinky Cafe. Proactive is the way. Thank you so much for joining me today as we talk a little bit about principles. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Brent Webb. I am a mind power expert. I've been doing that for 30 years. I was born in Ohio. We were talking about Ohio just a moment ago, off camera, but I was born there, a little tiny, chubby, only child. And when I was a kid, I was racked with anxiety, stress. And I came from a family where you had to worry about everything. You had to worry about things before they, weeks, months, years ahead of time. You were worrying about stuff before it ever even got close to happening. And so growing up like that, I was just a mess. And as an only child, I had parents that worked different shifts. And so I was kind of by myself a lot. I wanted to become a magician. So, I was always doing little magic tricks. And I went to the library one day and I got a book called The Magic of Believing. I thought it was a magic book on magic tricks. It was all about the power of the mind. And so I was 7, 8 years old. And really, that book changed my entire life because it started to show me, wow, we have this amazing supercomputer in our minds and none of us know how to use it. Like we can do amazing things with it, but we're not. So I really started, just processing all of that and all through school, I was still kind of thinking about being a magician, but I was doing this as well. Went on the road when I was 18, met a lot of celebrities, Don Rickles, Joan Rivers, started doing shows. And then in my 20s, I did a meditation retreat at a monastery in Tibet. And I was telling the monk said, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm a mentalist. I can read your mind. I can. He said, think of any word. And I did. And he said, lumberjack. And he told me the word I was thinking of. I didn't write it. I didn't say anything, no trick. And he's like, what you do is not impossible. We're all connected to each other. Our minds are connected. So from that point, I scrapped the entertainment and I've been doing this, which is teaching people how to unleash this mind power to transform their life. So, like I said, this is my 30th year of going all over the world and just teaching people, hey, there's something more than what you think.
Absolutely. Yeah, I found your story quite fascinating. I think I had shared within my interview notes to you that we're going to talk a little bit about that idea of mind power and how folks or how you help educate folks with regards to how to leverage it most effectively and efficiently. First of all, that it exists. I'm so tired of folks trying to act like this stuff doesn't exist. But then, how do we leverage it effectively and ethically? So we'll definitely jump into to that here. This year, I shared we are focusing on Ray Dalio's book, Principles. Last year, we had a series where we focused on helping individuals to develop themselves. And we had a primary target audience of folks who are just trying to design their lives, better understand who they are, etc. And within that, we talked about principles. And so this year, I really wanted to focus on that because what I found when we were doing our interviews, Tiffany and I, which is my co host, did our interviews together, we found that we had principles, but we never leveraged them. Or we never wrote them down and leveraged them often. We were not consistent. And so that's what we're going to discuss here today. So Ray is really big on principles and states that they were really the driving force for him finding success at a very early age in his life. And he defines principles as this fundamental truth that serves as the foundation for behavior that gets you what you want out of life. They can be applied again and again in similar situations to help you achieve your goals quickly. So you support your clients with mindset makeovers. Do you have a specific program that is applicable to all, or do you have to tailor the program to each individual?
Well, what I do, my my work is normally I do big events, big seminars, big live shows, that sort of thing, all over the world. I mean, I'm leaving next week. I'll be in Japan again. I'll be in New Zealand. I was just there a few months ago. So I do that a lot in person. We do maybe a weekend and 2 day, 3 day, that sort of thing. Online, what I'm really doing is just getting the word out that it is possible, that you can change your life. So I'm not so much, there's a lot of people that are trying to sell the next course, you have to do this, you have to take this course, you have to walk across hot coals, you have to go sit in a cave and meditate for 2 days. You don't have to do any of that. What you need is already inside you. So it's just learning how to unlock that. So what I do as I do these kind of shows, I do TV, I do radio, I do podcasts, and I just tell people, no matter what you're living now, it does not have to be that way if you want to change it.
Right.
So, it's just giving people just some people, it's a complete awakening to the fact that there is something else. Some people are just it's like they're in a tunnel their whole life. They're born, they die, and they never break out of that, the confines of that. So, I think that's kind of what I do. Anybody can learn it. Anybody can do it, because it does you're going to have to decide what your principles are. You're going to have to decide what your intentions are. We are so bad about, deciding, making a New Year's resolution, and then falling back on it the next day. Said, these are our principles. This is my principle. This is what, and then somebody does something and we let them slide. So we have to finally just draw that line in the sand and set an intention, because that's magic. When you actually follow up your willpower, your any of that with an intention that you're actually going to do it, it just changes everything.
It really does. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because it's so important that we do have some sort of standard that helps to guide us and lead us. And when we're intentional about following that, you will find that success comes much easier. Not that you're not going to go through a struggle per se, but it becomes easier. I think you get stronger at being able to overcome certain adversities or stumbling blocks that cross your path. Talk to me about these seminars that you host, because I'm going to assume that you do give some sort of foundation, some sort of fundamental principles that one must lean on to be effective at developing a better mindset. So, for example, you had mentioned meditation changed your life. I had read within your on your website, you talked about self-love. What are the top principles must one possess to be successful?
Well, I think the first thing and the most important thing of all is awareness, because without knowing what's going on inside your mind 24/7, we have 60,000 thoughts a day. Think about it. 60,000 thoughts a day. And guess what? 80% of those thoughts are negative. And they're going on without us really knowing. Our subconscious, they're going on. So we're living in that feeling. Okay. 80% of those thoughts are negative. Things like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done this in the past. If I hadn't done this, this wouldn't have happened. She wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have this. What does Mary think of my dress? I think the boss is mad at me. It's all that crap. And then it's all the stuff we're worried about in the future. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. So we're thinking about those two things. And the moment that we can change the current present moment where our power is, we don't want it. We always want the next moment. It's like, we're making a cup of coffee. We don't want this moment. We want the moment where we're drinking the coffee. It's the week. It's Monday. We want Friday night. We're waiting for Friday. Man, it's Friday, right? I got to go to work for the next month, but then I get a vacation. So I'm going to push through this, right? You're always discounting the current moment for either the past, thinking it was so great. We overestimate the past always, like it was some amazing, it was just amazing, because we forget the bad things and we only keep usually the good things. So we overestimate the past and we underestimate the future. So we're here, but we don't make any kind of moves. We're kind of in a box. We're in our comfort zone and we stay there. So principles of success, awareness. You got to know what's on your mind. So I tell people, hey, one of the things I teach in seminars online, first thing, get a Post-it notepad like this, take a pen, marker, make a couple of drawings on a couple of these sheets, a heart, a happy face, whatever. Stick one on your wall somewhere, stick one in the fridge, stick one in the bathroom, stick one above your desk. Now, throughout the day, when you're doing something and you see that note, that is your thing telling you, stop, figure out what's on your mind. Because what happens is it's going on subconsciously. You don't even know what's going on up there. By stopping, you freeze for a second. Okay, what's on my mind right now? Well, I'm thinking about my third birthday party or whatever it is. You don't judge it. You don't get pulled into the feeling of it. You just write it down. And you do that for a day, 2 days, a week. At the end of a week, you're going to see all of this useless, moronic stuff that's coming up inside your mind that no longer serves you. And it's the kind of thing that once you see it, once it comes out in your life and you actually are reading it, it'll start to disappear because it doesn't have any power anymore. It makes no sense. You know, the first 8 years of our life were programmed. We come out as a blank slate. A kid is not homophobic, racist, sexist, none of that. A kid is a complete blank slate. That is learned behavior. It's programming. Your parents, and it's not always their fault. They learn from their parents and from back. You have all the generational trauma. You have the school, you have the government, you have the media telling you you're too fat, you're too this, you're not blonde enough, you're not this. So those first 8 years, you're recording all of that. It's like you have a tape recorder in your head. You're not good enough. You're too stupid. A woman can't do this. A guy doesn't cry, whatever it is. And then when you're 8 years old, the tape stops. And now for the rest of your life, anytime you're on autopilot, which means anytime you're not thinking, your subconscious takes over, that is the tape that's running. I'm not good enough. It's the stuff you did when you were a kid. It makes no sense. It's not logical. It's not, you weren't mature. It was a response to sometimes just a survival response for somebody in a lot of trauma. But that's the tape you're living with. So you got to figure out what's on your tape. And to do that, you just pause. It's the easiest thing. You can get 80% of the way to changing your just by the awareness, because you will be blown away by what is going on that you don't know, that you don't even realize is happening anymore. And once you start to see that, like I said, it just starts to go away. It starts to evaporate. It just can't stand up to the scrutiny. Once you drag it into the light, it's like, what does this mean? This makes no sense. And it just goes. So it doesn't take work. It just takes the time of deciding, I'm going to take some time to see what's on my mind.
Right. What about external factors and how do those play into that? Because what you're sharing right now are internal factors, right? How do we help to alleviate negative thoughts that cross our mind because of what we're thinking? But what about when you have things that are kind of outside of your control, where you have external influences that are constantly providing you imagery, providing you, because, we do that. We leverage imagery, we leverage, and I'm going to say it's a gift of mind control or a piece of mind control that people do to tell you you're not good enough, or the sly comments and different things of that nature. How do individuals help to maintain that sense of awareness and overcome those instances to have a better mindset?
Well, I think you have to have a compassion for everyone else, because you don't know what anyone else's struggle is. And you have to remember, it's almost like everyone out there is a mirror of us. And what we see in someone, and this is true, what you normally don't like in someone else is something you don't like in yourself. And so it's reflecting back to you. So if you think everything, if you go out with the attitude of the world's an evil place, everybody's out to get me, I'm never going to make it, you're going to manifest that, because you're going to live in that reality. You have to, like I said, not just the awareness of what's going on in your mind, but also the awareness of this outer world. Just like you said, we're in two worlds. We've got the inner world, which is it's the number one world. It's where thoughts, ideas, feelings, all of the things that, are really, invaluable. Like you can't buy them. Things like confidence, things like love. You can't go out into the outer world and buy love. You think you can. You think you can find the right person and you'll have love, but you can't. Right. The outer world is people, things, it's concrete things. And then these two worlds are connected. It's like if you and I go to the movies and we sit down and the movie starts, we're both in the same room. We're both in the same place. And the James Bond movie starts, but maybe I've seen it or maybe I don't like it. So all of a sudden in my inner world, now you're watching the movie, you're into it. I'm thinking about my birthday party when I was 7, what I'm going to have for lunch later. I'm in my own world. So when you think, we have two worlds here, the outer world, somebody comes up to us and says, you look horrible today. We take that in the outer world into the inner world. Oh my, we feel it. We suffer every time we see that person. We get a pit, feeling in the pit of our stomach. You have to start to realize what we're doing is we're allowing the outer world to affect our inner world. What we do 90% of the time. If those worlds are connected, you have to remember what you're doing inside can affect the outer. So you can start changing that outer world. You can start changing your circumstances by what you're thinking, by shifting your mindset slightly. The outer world can start to change. I mean, you have to have almost a stupid belief in yourself, so much so that you have like a cloak of invulnerability, because whatever somebody says to you, if you take that in, you take that poison in, you're accepting it, you're going to ruin your life. If, however, they say it and you just let it bounce off, you don't let anything anyone says penetrate your shell, everything starts to change, because they don't hold any power over you anymore. You can't worry about what, Mary thinks of your dress, what your mom's going to think of this job choice, and this and that and this. That starts to go. So again, it's just finding your center, and you become powerful, because you can't be swayed by everyone else. You can't be swayed by anyone's opinions. You can't be swayed by what you just said, the media, the advertising, none of that, because now you're in your own power. You believe in yourself. And so you are changing your inner world, but you're also changing your outer world. You're gaining confidence. People look at you different. I mean, that's how you do it. You don't wait for somebody else to do something that's going to change your outer world. You have to start doing it, and you got to start inside.
I like what you said about we have to become vulnerable, but vulnerable in a sense that the thought or the comment, it comes in and it exits.
Yes.
We've already built within ourselves a level of confidence, a level of security within who we are, right? It's finite. You cannot sway me anyway based on how you feel about me, because as you share, those things, those are not within our control, right? All right. Wow, that's phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing that and helping individuals understand how that works, because it is difficult. Those thoughts come in and people hold on to them. And then
Yeah,
it's
that
eat and
you
fester.
and you take what people don't understand, and this is another thing that's very important. You have to know that what humans do, and we're the only species on Earth that do this, we take the thought and we take the feeling and we connect them. So what happens is, you see two dogs fighting or two birds fighting, and they walk away from each other. Those two birds aren't going, oh man, the next time I see that bird, I'm going to kick his butt. They're not thinking about it in the next moment. Okay, it's over. Kids do the same thing. Kids can yell and have a temper tantrum, be laughing the next second. It's real, right? What we do is we live it in our mind. We break up with our girlfriend. She drove a red pickup truck. And now every time we see a red pickup truck, the feeling of the girlfriend comes back. That we get the knot in the stomach. We start sweating. Right. It's because we don't want to work through something. And you nailed it exactly. We won't let it pass through. That's what we do. We take it and we go, I don't like this. So instead of saying, I don't like it, go, we say, I don't like this. Come inside, and I'll hold you inside me with willpower. And that's what we do. I don't like this. I don't like that. And if you talk to somebody and they'll say, don't go there with me, that means you're getting close to whatever that is in them that triggers them. Oh, don't go there with dad. The things you can't talk about with your dad. Right. Though that's his stuff. That's the stuff that we've stored inside. We won't let it pass because it's painful. And we do the same thing with the good things. Oh, the first car we ever had, we're going to keep that. The first time I got kissed, I'm going to keep that. Right. So we try to store all these things like a hoarder. And then we're not living in the present. We're living in all this stored illusion that we've kept in ourselves. So getting rid of that stuff, like I said, it doesn't take so much work as just awareness, because soon as you realize, a lot of it just starts to go. It doesn't take too much extra effort. I always tell people, it's not like a therapist. They are in business to take your money every week and make you relive your trauma. So you're reliving it. And at the end of the therapy session, you go home. Guess what? You just drug up all those emotions. You're going to be feeling that all night long, and maybe tomorrow too. Right. You don't have to do that. You don't have to relive all that crap. You went through it. It's over. Now it's time to just let it release its hold on you. Right. And then what happens is every time you release something, little, small, doesn't matter, you get a little bit of willpower back. You only have so much. And over our life, a little bit here, a little bit here, we're holding all this crap in. As soon as we get that back, what a successful person does, and I work with celebrities and billionaires, and what they understand that most people don't, is when I get that piece of willpower back, I'm going to focus it on the project that matters or whatever. Every time I work through something, I take that life force energy, I take that willpower, and then I focus it. So that's what they're constantly doing, pulling back their willpower and then focusing it where it matters. And that's what successful people do. They're not worried about what everybody thinks and what they've got to do, 6 years from now. None of that. They live in the moment, and they know about, how to kind of use their energy to, because it's all energy. We're all, when you walk into a room and two people are fighting, and you walk in and it's quiet, but you feel that in the air. That's the energy.
Right.
When you see a negative person that lives, my aunt, totally negative. She goes through the to get her car washed. Somehow the window comes down, the car gets filled with soap. Who does that happen to? A negative person, right? Her husband's negative. They sit all day long, and it's all about their aches and their pains, and that's their life. They live in that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a negativity vortex. So again, your mind can set you free of all of that. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing, how much money you have, nothing. All it takes is your awareness to start getting you out of the mess.
Such a simple concept.
It is, right? It's so simple. It's too simple.
It's too simple. You're like, is that it? That's it. Yes, that is it, folks. And I do like that having that level of awareness definitely is the key to help you start overcoming some of those negative thoughts, those things that have been hindering you from growth and from success. So it sounds like you're pretty, you're doing the thing. You're out there. You've had a lot of successes within your life. Would you say right now you're at the pinnacle of your profession, or do you still see that you're in the process of growing?
Well, no, I think anytime you think you are at the top, or you are wherever you want to be, you go stale, because you've got to keep pushing. Now, you have to have a goal, which most people don't have a goal. I want to be rich. I want to be in love. They don't have a set goal. I see this in my mind. That's what I'm striving for.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do, well, the problem is they keep worrying when it's going to come and when it's going to happen, and they kill it because they've set this intention. But it's like you order something from Amazon. You're not, where's my package? Every hour calling. You're not, right? It's just going to show up. We have to get to the place where we're not complacent. I'm not in my comfort zone. I mean, I've had cancer. I've had a drinking problem. I've had, pain pill addiction. I've had smoking throughout my life. And every one of those things, this is a health issue. No, it's not. This is a mindset issue. This is a mindset issue. This is a mindset. They're all mindset issues.
Right.
So when I faced cancer, I went through it because I realized, I fought through it because it is a mindset thing. The way I'm looking at this, the way I'm dealing with this is going to change things for me. And it did. And smoking, drinking, all of those things, you just have to realize the outer world is not to blame. No matter what happened to us, and things happen, horrible things happen. But at some point you have to let that go for yourself, because we're holding all of these things. So I think at this point, for the rest of my career, I just want to do this. I want to go around the world, and I just want to teach people there's more. This is how you do it. This is how you unlock your mind. This is how you get your dreams. Because what happens is we're connected to each other. There's a universal consciousness, just like the monk taught me. And that's how he was able to tell me lumberjack, the word I was thinking of. But that universal consciousness we can raise by doing this. If we are all working together, we're all being positive. The universal consciousness starts to expand and starts to raise. And that's how we change the world, because we're in a mess. I mean, everybody's fighting, and it's political, and it's all this meaningless crap. It's always pitting us against them, and you against me, and man against woman. Right. It's all a man-made thing. So you just remember, you're important. I don't care where you are. You have greatness in you. You were created for something, and you've got to find your passion, do some different things, find out what it is that you love, and start doing that. Everything changes.
Right. Yes. I like that, that what you shared about the challenges that you've had, and realizing it was just something so simple as your mindset helped you to overcome. Now, would you say that some of the standards that you set, was it just all the same in terms of overcoming within your life? So when you had to fight cancer, when you had to go through, addictions, and you said, I had to change my mindset, would you say that awareness was probably the number one? Oh my God, what am I doing to myself? Or what's happening to me? But then what helped you? Would you say that was it, awareness, or was there some other principles or standards that you had to set within yourself that really helped you to get through it?
For sure. And if you broke it down into a few things, the awareness is important. That's a very important first step.
Mm-hmm.
But that awareness, because that's why we're doing it for step one, that awareness starts to expand. It expands your consciousness. And if you have, a thimble sized consciousness and you
Mm-hmm.
start to expand it to a golf ball and a tennis ball, you're going to understand more. You're going to read a book that you read before, and now you're going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Some spiritual book, maybe, you're going to get it because your consciousness is expanding. Okay. So what that does is it starts to create the belief, because that is paramount too. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to. And if you don't believe that you deserve the life you want, you're never going to get it. We've grown up, a lot of people with parents, money is only for people that are evil. You got to be greedy to have money, this, that, or the other. Those are patterns that you believe. I mean, our belief patterns created in those first 8 years. You're not good enough. You're not this, you're not that. It's like a record, and it's working its way into a groove in your body. And now you're in those patterns, and you're so used to it. You've got to start believing that you deserve what you want, because you're never going to get it. Your mind's going to tell you all the reasons you couldn't and you shouldn't. And you've got this thing inside you, this voice inside your mind. People think that that's them. I mean, the voice that comes up all of a sudden and says, you shouldn't do that. You're not going to be able to do that. That's not you. That's the conditioned past. Our mind was created really to help us survive. In the old days, you walked out of the cave and there's a tiger there. Well, what am I going to do? Do I run? Do I fight? Your brain goes into survival mode immediately. Mm-hmm. Now you walk out of the door, you go to Starbucks, you're worried about your shoe. You're not using it for what it was meant for. So that mind has now been so twisted. And think about it. This is the only thing in the universe that knows everything you've ever done, and knows all the things you're embarrassed of that you never got caught doing, and it will use them against you, right? Your mind will go right. It's like two people fighting. It's like if one person goes right for the jugular, that's your mind. They'll go for the thing that'll just cut you, because your mind doesn't want to be trained. It's used to having free reign up there. But it's like anything else. You can work that mind to be working for you, instead of being like a monkey up there in a cage just going crazy.
Right.
So belief, it just creates that. Yeah, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you don't think you're going to do it, you will never be able to do it. And that's what people do. I'm not a swimmer. My mom likes to go to the casino. Every time she goes, I don't know why I'm going, I never win. Yeah, why are you going? Because that is the worst affirmation. I hear it all the time. I hate my life. Life sucks. It's raining outside. They were supposed to go to a picnic, and now, the universe hates me. God hates me. It's ridiculous. Like, it's raining. So those are easy things to release. You're driving down the road. The guy in front of you is driving too slow. You're back there yelling, screaming. He's driving, has no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. That's an easy thing to let go. Because those little things, every time you let that go, you get that little bit of willpower, and then you focus it. And that's how it works. Don't start with the big stuff. Start with the tiny, you wouldn't even think it would matter kind of stuff. Right. That's what you do first, and everything else starts to fall in place.
Yeah, and build on it.
Right.
Of noticing a particular habit. We had an opportunity to do a session on habits, and atomic habits was one of them. And that was one of the key things. We had to, of course, develop a level of awareness, and then determine, out of what we've learned about, the habits, the behaviors that we've leaned on for such a long time, and kind of work and chop at each one. And what did he say? I believe he said 1%, just that 1% of improvement, and it compounds. And over time, you'll hopefully have an opportunity to it'll snowball effect, hopefully in a positive way. But you'll have that positive experience where overcoming your behaviors would be easy, will be easier. Okay, behavior. So we had to talk about like action steps. I just applied for a job. I applied for 75 jobs. No one ever calls me, right? The world hates me, to use your words there. The world hates me. I'm no good, etc. So now I've gone through the process. I now have a level of awareness. I realize that I'm taking something so minute and I'm macro. I think I just made a word up. I'm I macrolized it. I just expanded it to the world versus just kind of taking an inner look at myself. I noticed that I do this, so this is a behavior that I have. What's my next step? What actions should I take in order to finally overcome, you know what, the world really does not hate you? Is it just a matter of just doing it? Just get over it, girl. No, the world does not hate you. Or is there some sort of process that folks can think about in order to overcome situations like that, where they take something so minute and they just blow it out of proportion?
Well, positivity is important, but positive thinking only gets you part way. Positive thinking is like, you're putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot. I mean, it'll help, but it's not going to solve the root of the issue. So I think as humans, that's what we never want to do. We don't want to find out what's causing it. In everything, think about it. In medicine, they don't give you a pill to solve the problem. It's a pill that you're going to have to keep taking for the rest of your life. It's never the root issue. Right. We're just going to put a Band-Aid on this and you're going to go the rest of your life taking these, whatever. Right. So it's finding out what the root is. I mean, there's a reason that you think that the world, I mean, there's a reason. It's not because of the job search. This has to go back farther. Right. So if I always tell people, you have to do something, if it's not meditation, if it's prayer, if it's sitting alone for 5 minutes a day, but without that connection to your inner soul, your inner self, I mean, all the wisdom you could ever want is in there because we're all connected. We're connected to the past, the future, everything, but none of us know how to access it. Meditation will do that. Prayer will do that. If you sit alone with yourself, people are deathly afraid of that because it's scary. Because again, your mind knows everything. It knows all the stuff, and it does not want to be trained. So it's going to start throwing that up at you. But we need that connection time, because then you'll find out what is the root of this, and it'll all of a sudden pop up. I mean, something unexpectedly. I was meditating the other day, and it's like I'm thinking about, an event that happened 30 years ago, and sometimes the thing is, something will pop up completely random, and it won't be connected to what you're actually releasing, and nobody knows why that happens. So you don't always have to look at. The trick is not to get pulled into whatever it is. Whatever you start thinking about, don't get sucked into it. Okay, because what will happen, the more you do this, you'll start to create a time bubble almost. And so something will happen. Then you'll send out a bunch of resumes and nobody will call again. And then there'll be a moment when you're about to blow up. Somebody walks in that always fights with you, and they start their BS, and they're going to bait you into a fight. All of a sudden, things start to slow down. Okay, and you seem like you're kind of out of time a little bit. You seem to have more time than normal, because what's happening is you're gaining back this clarity, you're gaining back this mind power. So now you can decide, do I want to get pulled into this fight? Do I want to go down this road and ruin my progress and have a big explosion about nobody calling me? And you decide, no, I mean, I don't. It's not worth my peace, and you let it go. So now what seems like to the other person, if it's two people you're about to fight with, it seems to them like normal time. But for you, it seems like you've got a really good amount of time, and you're kind of standing. So normally we get sucked into something and we're fighting and yelling and arguing, and it's a week later, a month later, we don't even realize we're in it. This now gives you the time to go, wait, this isn't worth my peace. And you just don't take the bait. Right. And it does it automatically. So again, just think about these. Instead of, I'm going to go sit down for 5 minutes, and today I'm going to think about why it is that I think people don't like me, or why it is I send and nobody calls me, and why, whatever. You have to remember too, people are nowadays, 20 years ago, you could get somebody on the phone. Now everybody they don't even respond to your email. You see, they opened it, they don't respond to anything. It's a different pace of the world that you have to release. It's not you. Right? It's the world is doing some crazy vortex that, you're standing in the middle of, but you just have to let that go. So, and try to find the root. And you, like I said, you don't always have to go deep into it. You just start thinking about it, and you'll start to find your answer that way.
I like what you stated in terms of meditating. I had watched a YouTube video with Steve Harvey, and he was sharing how he wakes up every day at 4:30 a.m. and he gets into the meditation and how when he sits down and it's prayer, he called prayer. Well, he actually separates the two, prayer and meditation. He's like prayer is to God. Meditation, I believe he said, is something where he focused on to try and find answers, and which you shared that the answers they are within us. The answers are there, but we don't provide ourselves enough time to reflect on or just do a self reflection, right? I know that though there are some times when you do, and you're sitting there, and maybe you just don't have enough experience. Maybe are younger, if you will. What about for younger individuals who don't have experience, a lot of experience, but they need to find answers? I'm assuming that that population would have to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, I tell everyone though, start with 5 minutes, okay? Because here's the thing, your mind is not used to being trained, it doesn't want to be. So if you try to sit down and I do 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the evening. Okay,
Oh,
every day. I do 20 minutes of chanting in the morning, 20 minutes of chanting in the evening. And
okay.
if I have to fly somewhere, I'll be up at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning to do it. I've just made that my intention. I have made that as one of my principles. I'm
Okay.
going to do this every single day, and
Right.
I do it. I don't want to walk every day. I go out and do it. I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat meat. I don't eat dairy. I don't eat cheese. None of that. Okay. Trust me, a cheese pizza sounds really good sometimes, but
Mm-hmm.
that's part of I've made that a principle. That's the thing when you decide to set an intention on it,
Right.
right? So sit down 5 minutes, close your eyes, cross legged on the floor. And all you got to do to start, count to 20. When you get to 20, go to one. When you get
Mm-hmm.
to 20, go to one. Because at the very first week, 2 weeks, your mind is going to constantly 1, 2, 3. What am I having for lunch? Oh, my back hurts. Oh, my leg hurts. Boom, you go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I remember that fight I had with Mary back in 1997. What am I going to? 1, 2, 3. You constantly do that because what you're doing is you're training your mind. You're teaching it how to focus. When I
Right.
was in school, my teachers used to say, Brent, you need to learn how to focus. And finally, one day I said, did I miss that day? Because I don't remember ever learning how to focus. And the teacher thought about it and she said, you know what? I didn't either. Because we don't learn how to focus. They tell
No.
us to do it. And so you strengthen that muscle every time you pull back. It doesn't sound like you're doing it. You feel like you're doing anything. 1, 2, 3. I'm thinking. Okay, 1, 2. But you are. You're pulling back your power, your strength every time. You're strengthening that muscle every time you pull back your focus. So you do that in meditation, and then maybe next week you add a minute, and now every morning you're going to do 6 minutes, and you do it very, very, very slow. You just get your mind used to it. Eventually, your mind is going to go, "This guy's not going to let me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously going to do this. I'm going to just slide to the back and let it happen." And
Mm-hmm.
that's what will happen. Your mind will stop fighting you. I get up every morning. I do all of my morning practices, my meditation. But my first idea is, and a lot of people don't like this, but it works for me. My mind is against me. There's the lower mind that's fighting me. I just feel like it's somebody who doesn't want me to win this game.
Mm-hmm.
And if I look at it that way, it's like a little kid. If my mind says, Brent, you look a little fat in that shirt today, I will go, I named the voice. Carl. And I go, there goes Carl again. Carl is so funny. And you look at the voice in your mind like a little kid, a little bratty kid who's going to just try to get you mad. And it takes all the power away because it's not the voice of God. It's not the future. It's this stupid voice that's just triggered to say horrible things to you. And so you name it. I know that's another trick that people can use. Name the
Which,
voice.
yeah, which is why you said earlier, if we have that level of awareness and are aware and can always pull ourselves back when we begin to speak negatively, then we start to speak positively every time that occurs. When we get prepared for an activity such as meditation, we now are sitting, going through the process of practicing how to focus. And now that voice becomes less negative and maybe not as how do I want to say, loud, and we have the ability to quiet it. So that's actually a good point that you brought up, because I will say that I've tried to meditate. I can't do it. I don't tell anyone that I meditate. I'm like, I am not a meditator. I could do some breath work, but I cannot meditate.
But you can't see that. But and you're affirming that you're not a meditator by saying I can't meditate. I'm not a meditator. I'm
It is.
telling you,
No, no, you're right. It
the
is
counting to
like,
20 is the trick. The
okay.
counting to 20 and pulling back. If you sit there and don't do anything, your mind's going to run you over. But the counting tricks your mind. It's like, oh, look, we have something to do. It's like a dog with keys. You're going, hey, look at this. And the mind's going 1, 2, 3, 4. You're kind of you're transcending it. You're going above your lower mind into that subconscious. So
Right.
it's like a trick, but any trick you can do is positive. That's going to help you.
Yeah, the one trick that I do is I set an intention. So if I force myself to focus on a thought, it can't be blank. But if I focus on a thought and that's all I'm focusing on, then my mind runs on that thought in that direction. And so that's how how do I say, I help myself to say, okay, well, this is my type of meditation. This is what's effective for me, because
See,
it's
perfect.
almost like I have to be active and achieving something versus just a blank mind, right? And that helps me as well. I think that's been kind of effective for me. But I do want to get to that state. So I'll try the count to 20 and see if I can just remove all thoughts and get to that point. Thank you for that piece of advice. um, I wanted to go back and touch on, because I was talking about if we do have a younger population and they can't find the answers when they are meditating. One of the things that came to my mind as you were speaking was that for that younger population, that sometimes it may help that they do leverage a network or reach out, because sometimes when you do meditate, you sit down, you might not per se have the answer, but within your meditative practice, a thought may come to say, hey, Lucy is in that space. Maybe you need to go set up a 10-minute conversation with Lucy to help you get over. And so that was a thought that came to my mind, because I think when we work out, like my sister and I, we were talking on our show. I was like, what is this? When we work out, all of a sudden, all these thoughts just start boom, 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 left and right. Like, oh, you need to do this. You need to go here. You need to do that. And I believe what did I read about? It's not oh my goodness, what is the word? It's not endorphins, but there is a hormone. It's going to pop up here later. There's a hormone that helps you to that helps those. That's where those thoughts come from, because that hormone, when you're working out, when you're exercising, helps your body to start basically become more active, and so those thoughts start to come a little bit more frequently. I know I'm going to remember. It starts with a D. I cannot right now. But yeah, okay, so fantastic. Thank you for providing that level of insight. I wanted to now jump in really quick. You have a free book out there on your website. The website, can you give us the website address, please?
Yeah, it's just Brent Webb, BrentWebb.com.
Fantastic. And on Brent Webb's website, he has a book called The Secrets of Mind Control. I wanted to dive into this because I'm really fascinated with regards to the idea of mind control, and the gifts of foresight. And I think it's really, really interesting that these particular characteristics of our human nature exist, but we are not really taught how to leverage them. And I'll give you an example. I watched a YouTube video in UK. In the UK, it was a group of children. They had them sitting in actually a woman's home, which I found interesting. So I think she was she trained in that particular area, but they put blindfolds on all of the children, and they we're training the children to leverage their mind to see, to have foresight, to do. I don't think that one was geared towards mind control, but control within their mind to be able to do those things most effectively. How, especially here in the US, how do we, because I don't think it's designed, it's not built into our school system, or I don't see that. I don't see schools that are designed for training that. How do we do that if we wanted to develop within our own home?
Well, that's the thing. It's got to be developed in the home because at the education system, what other business would you say hasn't made any big changes in the last 200-300 years? Education, they're doing exactly the same way they did it back then. And they're teaching your kids and your grandkids the same way they taught you.
Right.
And what if that's wrong? Because it is. I mean, anytime you take a business where, it becomes, it's all about the money. It's all about it takes away from the child. So you have to do it at home. You have to mind control, like that book, what I'm talking about a lot. I mean, I talk about how mind control is used by, emperors and used by the media. But basically, mind control is controlling your own mind. Because once you learn to control your mind, nobody else can control it for you, which is what's happening. Okay. So you've gained a level of clarity and wisdom that just changes everything. Because now you look at things and instead of getting sucked into them, instead of getting baited into this Republican versus Democrat, black versus white, man versus woman thing, you don't, because you realize this is all a form of mind control. So at home, you have to teach, I think, your kids early on, and it requires the parent too to do something huge, which is not to discount whatever it is the kid says they want to do, whatever they're showing passion about. That's when that passion usually comes out, and the 4, 5, 6, and well, you can't do that. Boys can't be this. Girls can't do that. You'll never have the money for this. That's only for some people. You can't do that. You have to make an intention in yourself to support your child. If they just want to, if they're showing an affinity for painting, if they're showing an affinity for ballet dancing, whatever it is, there's a reason that they're doing that. They're not doing it to make you mad. They're doing it because there's something inside that's telling them that. And we beat it out of the kid. I mean, not physically, but you can't do that. You go to school, we put you in rows of desks. Everyone's got to be the same.
Right.
So it requires at home you sticking to your side of the deal, which is you're going to support the kid. You're going to give them the time. You're going to give them whatever they need from you to find out what it is they want to do or find out what their passion is, and just teach them that the most important voice that matters is yours. The most important feeling, the most important. You're talking about what were we talking about? The book.
Mind control.
Yeah, which is no. We were talking about the book earlier.
Oh, Atomic Habits.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got to become that. It's repetition is a magic power. Just like you said earlier, when somebody was talking about, we didn't get where we are in a day. We got here. I got, here because I ate way too much for 30 years. So to get out of this, it requires repetition of the good things to break those grooves in the record, right? So you have to start teaching your kids early on the voice that matters, your belief, what you believe in. If you don't think you should eat meat and you're 6 years old, then you won't have to eat meat. You have to, and not some crazy thing. I want to play video games 24 hours a day. Can't be that, obviously. You got to be a parent, but you have to find that fine line where, you're not just, parents think that because they're older and they know more, that they're automatically, it's an unequal dynamic. The kid's not equal to you. And we're all connected to each other. Our job is to nurture and raise and to give them a better life, but teach them the right way. So, because in school they're going to it's overstimulation of everything. I mean, in this society, phones and computers, and it's in your face 24/7. So it's harder to get that alone time. So I think you start that meditation practice with your kids. Teach your kids to do it. Give them a 5-minute. Don't call it a timeout like it's a bad thing. Imagination time, it's whatever time, name something, but start teaching them. And then as an adult like you and I, they won't have to learn it and try to get rid of all the crap they've got in there, because you're doing it while they're growing, while they're learning, while their brain is developing. You're putting that in there, and now their life's going to be different because they don't have to wait till they're 40 years old and then go back and try to get rid of all this junk.
Right. No, that's a good point. And you are so spot on with regards to the education system and how it is still been the same system. You know, they designed it for manufacturing purposes. We no longer manufacture. We're more service oriented, and we have not changed our system in order to accommodate the way that our industries are today. So that is definitely a good point. I do like the fact that you said, you know, mind control is more about developing your mind so it cannot be controlled. I think, though, I want to make sure it's clear that there are people who have the ability to leverage mind control unethically.
course.
It happens all the time. But the way that we can overcome that is to ensure that we do within ourselves become so strong, so set with regards to the standards, our principles, etc., that when it does occur, we can look at it and say, hey, no, that's not how I manage things. That is
Yes.
not how I want to handle that. You know, the other piece that I wanted to share is that we have to also be very mindful of, you had mentioned earlier, addictions and things of that nature, because when we dive into drinking too much, smoking, or doing these different type of drugs, that open the pathway for your mind to be controlled, you want to minimize your use of these items so that you have better control of the things that you set for yourself in terms of your standards, in terms of your principles that you want to leverage. So you won't be so easy to manipulate. You know, because I thought about that. I was like, I can't wait to read your book. I will definitely read your book, because that really, I think we have to be mindful that it does exist.
Yep.
And that I hope that when I read your book, it goes through talking a little bit about just how we can overcome that, which it sounds like it does based on what you've shared. So thank you for that. Is question for you, because there, I think one of the things that I wanted to know is there some sort of ethical framework for individuals leveraging mind control? Are there some unspoken rules that exist, or is it just, you know, we don't know? We know it exists, we know it's there, but we can't be focused on it because we just don't know.
Well, the quantum physics has years ago when they wrote these self-help books and they touched on things like law of attraction and power of the mind, and it really was unproven. They were way ahead of the time back in the 40s and the 50s, because now we are with science able to prove a lot of this. Like the reason that in meditation you connect to that inner you is everything that has ever been, ever will be, is coming from what's called the quantum field. And again, nuclear, it's completely been proven with science. And so everything springs from that. And that's where creativity, you were saying how when you work out, you get all this rush of ideas. It happens in meditation. That is where creativity is. I get the most amazing ideas for videos or things I want to talk about, or new things for the show, or these things that just all of us, it's like, where did this come from? It's because when you're meditating, you are going inward. Now, instead of the outer world affecting you and all of this, 24/7, you are taking and you're going in. It's like a drill, and you're drilling down. When you hit that unified field where everything comes from, it's creativity and abundance, and you feel amazing. When you get a new car, that feeling you get, that shuddery feeling, you kiss the girl for the first time, the boy, whatever, that is in you all the time, but it's kind of covered over. That's the feeling you should be having.
Just came to me, dopamine.
Dopamine, yes.
Dopamine. I was like, no, it's dopamine. Okay, yes.
Yeah, and a lot of people use. I think that's one of the reasons opioids are so big, is because the people who aren't in pain are getting that feeling, the dopamine. They're getting that euphoric feeling, right? So we're always trying to mask something that's inside us. So wait, I'm sorry, what were we just talking about before then?
Well, I was asking you about if there was some sort of ethical framework, is what I was referencing.
Like, as far as you're saying, as far as like rules that you have to.
Yeah, rules, some unspoken rules that exist when we are focusing on, because I was saying mind control exists. And I wanted to better understand, are there spoken rules that people follow in order to um, not leverage it in a negative capacity? Or is it just that there are no rules, we just know it exists, but we have to make sure that we are structured, we have our standards, we have our principles set, so that when it does occur, we it does not negatively impact us.
Now, I think one of the things really, it's an unspoken rule that you're not going to hurt anyone. You're not going to use it, because the thing is, and I promise you, if you believe anything I said in this interview today, the one thing you can take to heart is, if you use this against somebody else and you use this in a bad way, it will boomerang back to you. I mean, throughout history, it always has. I mean, Hitler died in a bunker blowing his brains out. You know, the boomerang always comes back. So you just know this is about bettering yourself. When you better yourself, your children get inspired. You change the whole generational line of your family. The people around you get inspired. You start changing the world. Everyone does this. It starts to change everything. Mm-hmm. But if you start using it for, just getting money, if you're using it for control over someone else, someone doesn't want to be with you, but you're going to try to use mind power and your will to make this person stay with you, it's going to boomerang back. And it's a waste of your effort. You could be doing unbelievable things and you're worried about, it's like having this computer. Like I said, it's the most amazing computer ever invented, can do the most magical things, and you're using it for a tip calculator. It's like you're using it for the stupidest thing for this level of machine. Right. So yeah, I mean, just do good. Don't hurt anyone else. Don't hurt yourself. And whatever you want to do, that dream is in you for a reason. It's there for a reason. You'd never even have that dream if it wasn't possible for you. Right. So, believe in yourself and don't let anyone else move you. And that's how you're going to succeed. You will absolutely get success because no one will be able to stop you. And just like you said, a lot of people want to stop you. Your friends, they want you to stay where you are, because then it's going to show them that they can do it too, and they don't want to do it. So right. They're going to try to talk you out of it. Your family's going to tell you why you can't do what you want to do. Right. The trick is letting all that stuff just roll off. You have that. I get up in the morning, like I told you, I put on my cloak of invulnerability. And it's on all day long, just psychically, just in my mind. Your mind can't tell whether you're doing something for real or whether you're doing it in your mind. That's the magic thing. If you imagine running a race, to your mind, it's exactly the same as if you actually did it. That's why sports psychologists, they get hired by the teams and they teach the teams how to do these things in their head. Okay, make the basket 50 times in your mind. Mm-hmm. It's a mental game first. So if the general public would learn that, what the millionaires, the billionaires, the celebrities, the athletes, what they know, we could change everything, but when the normal people, and I hate saying that because we're all, but you know what I mean, like the yes. status quo people, they take control of their own life. It just change, everything will change.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, so thank you. That was a great piece of information. I truly appreciate you giving us your insight, taking the time to spend with me, to share a little bit about some of the principles, the standards, talking a little bit about how we can develop a better mindset, to have much more powerful minds and hopefully succeed at finding the successes that we desire within our lives. All right. So
Yay.
Classic. I knew, you know what? I knew I was going to go over with you because I was like, he is just so fascinating. You're like, I miss this type of conversation, FYI. I love being able to speak to people about these topics because I'm like, why are people not talking about these type of topics? It's so fascinating. And why don't we teach this stuff?
I know one talks about it because the ones who talk about it are always trying to sell you something. That's the problem. It's like, oh, I have a course where I'm going to, right? But why not give the people this information, at least some of it ahead of time, and then they can start changing and then they can afford your course, right? It's like
exactly, because it's like pay $9.97 to better understand.
Yeah, right.
The power of the mind, etc. But I mean, I get it. We are a capitalistic society. That's the reason, and I think we're overtly capitalistic to the point where it's all about making money, and no one's. While we do have a socialist component to us, it's that socialist component is more so, from my perspective, to help how do I want to say, I don't want to say the have not, but people who are in a lower socioeconomic status. Um, but I'm so fascinated with these type of discussions, and it bothers me that I don't see it in our school systems.
Right.
That's why I keep my kids here. Like I homeschool my children. I teach them about, mind control. I tell my son, especially all the time, I said, I'm going to let you know right now, son, you're going to have to develop a stronger mind. And this is the reason why. And so I talked to him about, how he has to develop standards, principles, etc. He's so young though. He is not
How
trying.
old are your kids?
My son is 10. I have a daughter who's 11. I have an 18-year-old and a 23-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
a 23-year-old?
I do.
Oh, you look amazing.
Oh,
I mean, not the, but I mean, wow, that's
blessings
amazing.
to you.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is something that has not even come out yet, but we are putting the finishing touches on something called Mind Power for Kids. And it's going to be a program that exactly what we talked about earlier, that's
Okay.
teaching kids when this thing is done, I'm going to send you I'm going to send you a couple of free programs for you to try, and you can go through it with your kids and tell me how I'll let you be a beta test, but I'll do it
Yes.
for free.
Oh
I
my
would
gosh.
love that. So
Yes.
I'm writing
I would
myself a
love
note, so I'll get
it.
you everything.
Yes. Because my kids, their father is from Africa, and he's from Senegal. I say Africa like it's a country, but he's from Senegal. And in that Africa, and even in Eastern Asia, what I really love is that they understand this, right? They have such an understanding around this. And I'm like, I know, although I don't think their school system outrightly teaches, but I can see it when I used to go to their school. Their children are so much different. They're how do I want to say, so much more confident in class, and they know who they are. They have, like, these set standards, these principles, this
And
way.
appreciative. They're appreciative
Very
too.
appreciative, very humble. But they also have these gifts, and they love to share their gifts, which I was like, why don't we do that here? Why is everybody hiding? These gifts that we have, and that we have the capability. You have to know, because back in the day, before we had language, how the hell did we communicate, right? We communicated telepathically. How the heck did we do certain things? We leveraged telekinesis. We leveraged these different gifts. Why the hell are we not teaching and helping people to develop these skill sets? And why is it only for a select few? Why isn't it for
Yep.
everyone? So people will now be able to survive if someone leveraged it against them. So like I'm so happy you do this work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you.
for, coming out and just doing this type of work. And I hope your business grows and flourish and more of it comes, because it is so needed here. And the
I appreciate
kids
it.
are actually asking for it here. I can see it. They talk to me, but they don't want to say what they know. And I'm just like, they are asking for it. So kudos to you. I will definitely be sharing more about who you are, what you do, because we need more of you here.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Brent, thank you so much for joining me here on Kinky Cafe. Proactive is the way.
Thanks so much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you.